evening, all. It is I, Joseph, before you once more to do my favorite thing online, be a hater. So earlier today, the EU Yu-Gi-Oh team did something that has never happened before. They spoke with the player base. I shouldn't have to sing their praises here. Chances are, if you've watched any Yu-Gi-Oh coverage in the past couple of years, you know that the EU team is leagues ahead of anything any other Konami division is doing. They've got community figureheads and incredibly prestigious duelists doing commentary on their live events. They've got mid-roll that is placed in between each of the games that they play when they're doing coverage. They have interviews and deck techs and alt formats. In America, they just play the same ad over and over again, usually with the Jerome VO he recorded in a closet. So expectations were high when we were told a couple of hours ago that there would be an exclusive this month in Master Duel presented by the Yu-Gi-Oh! EU team. Now, notably, this comes a couple of days after they posted a tweet in which they implied they would use this event to, among other things, critique and go over some of the decks that we posted in the comments. So what happened? Well, at about noon today, the stream went live with a countdown to when the stream went live. This was on both YouTube and Twitch, except the YouTube one was way before the Twitch one. So when the YouTube one reached 0, the video just ended, and then they re-uploaded a new YouTube one, again playing live, but this time counting down at the same rate as the Twitch one, so they both started at the same time. It was already off to a great start. After ironing out how a start screen works, the event officially began, and...
Hello, and welcome to a brand new show that we are bringing to you.
You turn down the mic just a little bit, please. Unfortunately, it didn't look like they had an audio engineer on staff, or if they did, they were only changing audio after the event had already began, so it started really loud, and the gain was up really loud, even though the volume was down for the remainder of the thing. It was hard to listen to. Audio issues aside, however, how was the content? Well, it was an ad for a bunch of stuff we already have. I think the concept is supposed to be whenever they release a new pack or a new solo mode or something, they can talk about it over the course of this series produced once a month, but unfortunately, there's not a lot of content in Master Duel. In fact, the event begins with one of the casters saying, okay, I'm going to give you 60 seconds on the clock. As fast as you can, tell me everything that's happened in Master Duel this month. And they basically say, well, we've got DL Cup going, and there's a new pack made of the stuff in the old pack and Promethean Princess. Like at the end of the thing, the caster says, wow, you got that done in 45 seconds. Anything else you'd like to add? And they're like, no. Not really. So after this, they transition into a larger conversation about what's actually in the pack that they released in Master Duel this month. This pack is really exciting. It has a lot of cards that a lot of really powerful decks have been missing for a long time, including Branded, which now has access to Albion the Sanctifier Dragon. It's also the first time that we've got the Monadium cards, and a significant amount of the Monadium cards that were released later in the deck's lifespan in the TCG are released earlier here. And of course, it's got the entire Gate Guardian I've been having a ton of fun with personally. And credit where it's due, they did a pretty good job pitching these. For each archetype that was expected to be either playable or was debuting in this pack, they had assembled a series of images that showed potential new players what the combo lines for those decks looked like. Except like representing a combo line through an image isn't really something you can do anymore in Yu-Gi-Oh! It'd be like handing someone a sticky note and being like, write down pi. Just finish it. So instead they've got some pretty rudimentary setups, but even within those rudimentary setups, there were some pretty basic mistakes. If My Girl and Ringo Worm were both drowning, after realizing the combo tutorials had errors in them, they went on break for 15 minutes. Keep in mind they'd been live for like maybe 10. And of course, I don't need to tell you how the Yu-Gi-Oh! Community reacted to this. I mean, the chat was basically all ban Maxi or unban Decade. After the 15 minutes has elapsed, they come back and reiterate some of the combos, which are now correctly represented on the individual images. After they've completed this segment that they've kind of already done, they take another 15-minute break and aim to return with a match between two community figureheads. This is the most baffling part of the stream for me. Currently, we're on our third 15-minute break in 55 minutes of uptime, but when we come back, it's clear that the details of this game have not been hammered out by anyone. We've got the actual footage of the game on screen, we've got footage of the two community members playing the game and speaking to each other. At the beginning, there's like some back and forth where they seem to be communicating, but they're like talking over each other and maybe talking to their chats, and you can't really tell if it's live at all. And then they just go silent. Like there's like no noise for like at least 2 minutes. And then the casters start speaking over the footage that's playing completely silently in the background, doing their best to explain the plays that are happening on stream. Except like it's just a Branded setup turn. So it's just like 10 seconds of silence followed by Foolish Burial. Yeah. And then finally, I mean, the icing on the cake is what they end up showing is a branded match in which the branded player is functionally uninterrupted and sets up the gimmick puppet lock. Like, oh, thank God. Finally, real Yu-Gi-Oh! So then the stream ends. After 80 minutes of uptime max, 45 of which were 15-minute breaks stacked up against each other. We didn't even look at the decks from the tweet. It begs the question, why did we do this? This kind of thing makes sense if it's coming out a couple of days before the new pack in Master Duel. It generates hype for the new cards that are about to be included in the product, and it gives duelists an idea of what they can be doing with the cards that they might be pulling in said product. But releasing it 2 weeks after the pack release is like, yeah, we know what the Monadium combo is. We've had to play against it for 2 weeks now. It's especially baffling for a deck like Branded. In the OCG, Branded's been puppet locking for like 3 years, about 18 months in the TCG, and a couple of weeks already in Master Duel. Like, who is this for? Someone who slipped into a coma in 2021 and just came out 2 hours ago? If you're that guy, I've got great news. We solved COVID, sort of. However, despite the fact that this seems like Christmas for a hater like me, Konami tries a new way of communicating with the player base and it largely crashes and burns, I'm actually pretty happy with it. Sure, at present, it was plagued with audio, visual, and technical issues, and sure, the purpose of the thing was pretty confused, and the timing was completely off, but these are all things that can be fixed. Before they go live next time, I guarantee you they're going to have someone check their audio levels. Before they set up the JPEGs that tell you how to normal summon Moye, they'll have someone figure out if, the combo actually functions as described. And ideally, they will farm footage from a couple of content creators that's more sub-replay Friday and less, wow, look at this setup. I think frequently what happens when Konami tries something new is the same thing that happens to every company when they try something new. What they produced is going through growing pains. It's insufficient. It doesn't work all the way correct the very first time. But with Yu-Gi-Oh! Specifically, this type of inadequacy feels like it always results in the exact same thing. Konami getting cold feet and cutting off support immediately. So despite the fact that this was about as funny as when they released Wind Up Unhit and told us we have to ban Reborn Tengu, I am excited about the prospect of a more polished version of this feature in the future. And if anyone is capable of making that happen, it's going to be the production staff at Yu-Gi-Oh's EU division. They've raised the bar when it comes to live coverage. I'm sure they're going to iron out the kinks in their live performance. That's it. Anyway, everyone please stick around for 15 minutes, after which I'll be playing the Patreon card. Bye!